Have you nailed down your story? Hello, it's Marketing for Owners, the podcast. I'm down on Deal Seafront again. This behind me is the Downs Sailing Club in Walmer. By the way, Walmer, spelt W-A-L-M-E-R, is right next door to Deal, to the point that you can't tell where one starts and the other one ends. However, people that live in Walmer are very snobby about not living in Deal, so don't get it wrong because you might upset them. But it's a lovely part of the country, except maybe at this time of the year when it's October and beaches aren't quite what they are in August. Never mind. So I today am talking about stories. And of course, as you know, at marketingforowners.com or Marketing for Owners, the podcast, video, iTunes, Stitcher, everything. The iTunes and Stitcher SoundCloud versions are audio only, as you know, if you're listening to it right now. I help you create your self-marketing company, a company that does the marketing for you while you get on with the things you want to be doing. Not bad, eh? Imagine that. It is possible. It's not as hard as you think. That's why I teach it for free. If it's tough, I'd charge you. Stories are all part of that. If you want to market, you really need to develop your story and you have to have it nailed down. Now, I've mentioned before about having a story. I've also recommended books in the past about how to tell your story and how people get on with a more interesting story. But it comes down to the fact that for millennia, if you take the Australian Aboriginals, they don't have books and things like that. They just have stories. They pass them on from one to the other. Now, you're going to have to excuse me for a second. I'm just going to quickly do this because you don't want me sniffing. So that was a clean advert for Kleenex Balsam, lovely on your nose. That's £100, please, Kleenex. So the Aboriginals, they tell stories and it's an art form. In fact, last week I did a podcast from outside Deal Castle. And in Deal Castle, a few times a year, they'll have events. English Heritage put on events, and they bring in storytellers. And the storytellers explain history, but they tell it in story form. It is 1,000 times more interesting than standing there listening to someone lecture. But they're actually telling you the same history. They just put it into a story, so it develops characters. Now, if you can do that with your company and your marketing and your message, it suddenly becomes more interesting. People can buy into it. People can empathize with you. If you are stating a bunch of facts, and please don't tell me you're still saying, we are the UK's leading marketing provider, etc., etc., or we are if you're in America, you don't realize there's other countries, so you would say, we are the leading online marketing provider. You're not. The next person along says that, and then how can the customer tell? In fact, I made this mistake at Fire Protection Online. We used to say we are the UK's leading online provider of fire safety equipment. Now, we are, but everyone else who copied us, everyone copied pretty much what we do. That's what happens when you're top of the tree, is all the others think that the only way to be as good as you is by copying what you do. Some take it as flattery, some, I take it as annoying. But they were copying me. And suddenly, we look lame by just stating that we are a leading, etc., etc. We're just saying the same as everyone else. There's no room for brackets, we were this first, or something like that, or brackets, we really are. The customer's not interested anyway. All they're interested in is what's in it for them. So to get on their side, you have to spin that into a story. So for Fire Protection Online, for instance, we explain how how I used to have a company called Triangle Fire Protection, and we used to maintain fire alarms, fire extinguishers. Our customers included Canary Wharf, the Crown Estate, and oh gosh, all sorts of big names like that. But after a while, it became obvious that to compete, we had to do etc., etc., etc. And in the end, I got so tired, I sold the company for a 7-figure sum to one of our biggest rivals, Kidder, and stepped away from the game. However, it gnawed at me that the business, it just wasn't right. It just wasn't done right. And then, of course, the internet came out. Internet was out, but internet came out with broadband and faster speeds. And this is before mobile phones, even smartphones. Not before mobile phones, before smartphones and iPhones. But once it came out with faster speed, suddenly it is possible to deliver a service via e-commerce, to those people who were paying too much and getting the wrong service. So I decided, what better way to do it? I set up Fire Protection Online. Soon that caught on, the customers were much happier, the customers came back, we had many more customers, etc., etc. And I'm just giving you an example of that, of a story, of putting it into words. Now that's an off the cuff. That's actually pretty much how it happened, but it's an off the cuff. So there are ways to styling your story and nailing it down, because the reason I say nailing it down is because it needs to be the same every time. If you accidentally say the story to the same person twice and both versions are different, what are they going to think? So it needs to be the same every time. It needs to be rehearsed, and everyone who should be on message should be able to say it as well. So develop your story, get it just right, make it effective. Before you decide it's effective, say it to somebody who has no involvement with your company or with you. And that quite often means, at last, there's some use for your mate down the pub. Your mate whose opinion on everything else is not welcome, but on this he might be, because he's not involved with the business whatsoever. Of course, you could tell someone else, you could tell your hairdresser. She loves chatting, but would love to give an opinion. So tell somebody, and if they think, and tell them what the intention is. So tell them that you're looking for criticism, not looking for someone to just say, oh yeah, lovely. But so get someone else involved, and if they say, well, I didn't quite understand that, tidy it up, try it again. Get it off pat, record it, have it transcribed, go to fiverr.com, fiverr.com, have someone transcribe it for $5, that's £3.50, can't go wrong. Get it written down, and then rehearse it and say it again and again, and then record a video of you, put it on your about page on your website. Put it as your intro video on your YouTube channel. Imagine how that can have a much more profound effect than just you saying, or having it in writing, the leading provider of. Okay? That's how this thing works. So nail that story down. It is a Monday. It's a windy Monday. I'm sorry, I've got a double microphone thing, so I hope the sound's still good. But today is book for the week, and today this is a good one. Kind of in keeping with the rugby being on the TV recently. But it's called Scrum. It's by Jeff Sutherland. That's Jeff with a J, Jeff. Now, Scrum is a phenomenon. It is fantastic. It's a project management sort of thing. And before you start yawning and turning off, it's more than that, though. What they've done is they've taken project management and turned it on its head. And the way on the front of the book, it describes how to get twice as much done in half the time. And that's it. It's developed, because project management is pretty boring. They've they've imagined it as a kind of rugby scrum. They have sprints, they have scrum masters, they have all sorts. It is a worldwide movement. There are scrum alliances around the world. It's like Eric Ries's The Lean Startup, where they have meetups around the world. Please go and have a look. If you're not going to read the book, just have a look at the website and the websites associated with it. So look up Scrum, Jeff Sutherland, and everything they have to say about it. Maybe it will just catch a chord with you and be just what you need. I know Amy Porterfield just uses it. She's moved her project management onto it and talks about it a lot. It gives a lot of information. So if you want to look up Amy Porterfield, Scrum, she will give a lot of information about how she uses it. But first of all, get the book, read it, see what you think. I'll give you some more info tomorrow.